Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, May the 3rd. Hey, we're getting into that post spawn time and we're checking in with our guys. I mean, there's a little bit of transition going on, but we're going to find out what the fish are doing on your body of water. We're going to talk to Tom, Lee, Gentry, and Tracy and see what's happening on your body of water. We'll be right back with what they have to say. Hey, we're joined by Tom Ott. We're going to talk a little bit of fishing up there in that heaven on top of the mountains, Guntersville. Tom, there's been a lot going on the lake. We've seen some good weights. We've seen all kinds of stuff. Tell us what's happening on the big lake.
Well, I'll tell you, Dano, this is the time to get out there and wet a line, whether you like to crappie fish or brim fish or especially bass fishing, but this is the time to get out there. I mean, these fish are you can do just about anything in any depth from 1 to 20 foot of water and catch fish right now. I mean, they're just that much is happening. I think that biggest wave of spawners has kind of started to move offshore somewhat, and then you got another wave that's come in. So you got a lot of fish. You can catch some big fish up shallow, not as many as you could maybe a month or two ago, but you can catch some big fish up shallow. You can catch a lot of fish up shallow. A wacky rig, a Cinco, just a Texas rig Cinco, any kind of plastic in something that simulates or imitates a brim. I mean, there's a lot of brim up shallow as well. That bedding activity's really started, and everybody knows once they come off the bed, the bass are just going to go stupid. So, a swim jig, anything that you can throw shallow. So a swim jig, anything that you can really throw shallow, swim baits, chatter baits, some rattle trap action still occurring, with the shad spawn, and obviously spinner bait, flukes, but the shad spawn's going pretty dang strong right now. It's happening every morning. You get a couple hours in there, and that's a lot of fun. But as the day progresses, again, 1 to 20 feet, you can move out to that deeper water, throw a big football head jig, crankbaits, Carolina rigs, you name it, and catch fish that way as well. And right now they're a little bit, they're easier to catch right now. They're the first out, but it's just more difficult to beat the fisherman to the ledge than it is the fish to the ledge right now. So, but that's the beauty of it. You can go do a lot of different areas and catch fish, a lot of fish. Again, the big fish have been a little elusive here lately, but it's just a little bit off, and we're going to start seeing those big ledge fish start happening again.
Well, and I know those crappie are going to be around the docks and the causeways, and the brim are getting up in the shallows. Time to get up there with some red worms, some crappie jigs, that kind of stuff. I guarantee you they're going to be kicking up there too. Tom, as always, brother, we appreciate everything that you do to help us put fish in the boat. And we'll talk to you again next week, my friend. Hey, we're joined by Lee Pitts, our crappie king of Weiss Lake. The man, the myth, the legend, finished second at the Neely Henry Alabama Bass Trail recently. He's won before. He's a winner in our minds, always number one in our hearts. Lee, what's happening at Weiss Lake?
Weiss is in one of those kind of bad moods right now. It's the water's up, everything's looking good, but they're still in that little bit of a postpone, not really wanting to do a whole lot. You can catch some in the morning on some kind of prop bait, buzz bait, something like that. I think they're just more or less hitting it just because it aggravates them. A trick worm's been pretty good, but still they'll show themselves. I mean, they'll come up there and roll on a spinner bait. A lot of bites that you're getting on a buzz bait is just coming up and missing it from behind. So we're a week or two away from things getting right. It's just that natural, normal type deal. When it's this time of year, you got about 10 to 14 days of just kind of some slow fishing.
Time to pull out a drop shot rig, a wacky rig, something like that for the bass. What about the crappie up there?
Crappie are really starting to kind of wind down a little bit. I'm still doing some long line trolling, catching a few, but the guys that are doing better now, a lot of the crappie have already laid. They're coming back out trying to get on some of these dock posts. A lot of them are even backing out more towards the middle of the creeks and getting on some of this deeper brush. So some of the guys are doing like a drop shot type deal, even with live bait, still using some jigs, but the dock shooting has been real good. I say real good. We're catching more fish than we are longline trolling. So you got to bait around. Um, the docks are where these fish are trying to hold right now. They're getting in that shade, getting around some of that shallow brush, and just feeding up before they head back out to the main lake.
All right, is that the kind of the same stuff that's going on at Neely? I know Neely will be a little bit more current related, but is that what's going on?
Pretty much, both of our lakes, the upper Coosa, Neely and Weiss, they fish pretty much the same, depending on the water levels. But the dock bite is a whole lot better on Neely right now. Also, lower end and some of these sand pits and things like that, you can get back in there, find a little bit of depth on these docks. Playing with 1/32 has been real good, and even a 1/24 when if you can get some fish that are a little more aggressive, it's got that faster fall to it. Still with me, like this time of year, man, the baby shads, the slab slayers, that's just one of those things that really, really does good in my dock shooting arsenal. I love the way these baits skip, and that's one of the things here lately, getting on back in there in that shade, getting a good skip, getting on in the heart of that dock, instead of just beating on the edges of it, get on in there.
All right, brother. I know the bass bite's going to be similar. Throw some grass in there too, but get into them docks. Brother, we appreciate everything, and we will talk to you again next week, my friend. Hey, we're joined by the winningest angler in this area, one of our pro staffers and friends, Tracy Robinson. Tracy, let's talk a little bit of Logan Martin and Lay Lake this week. What's going on in these neighborhoods?
Both lakes are kind of hitting the tail end of the spawn, Dano. I'll start with Logan, though. The lakes are set up a little differently, so the fishing is a little differently. Logan right now, spots are still predominantly the fish of choice right now. They're a lot easier to catch, a lot more abundant. Most of the tournaments, you probably seen some of the weights, but 17 pounds, 15, 17 pounds, has been winning these tournaments in a lot of spots being caught. The spots up shallow, the seawall bite's always fun at Logan, so that's probably the best and easiest thing going on right now. Take your stick baits, get on those seawalls. You can throw the buzz baits, but it seems like those spots will latch onto the stick baits a little bit better. The I don't know, Sammys or whatever your choice is. But anyway, those on the seawall is really good. You can still get bit some on the bars there on the spotted bass. Up in the shallows, though, with the largemouth, they're garden fry, and they're really they're difficult to catch right now. There's no way to say it any other way. It's not a really good bite right now. They're kind of, I've heard some of these other fishing reports. They're in that maybe 10, 14 day lull right now where they're garden fry, and just if you really piss one off or just happen to come by it at the right time, you might catch it. But the largemouth fishing is pretty tough. The crappie have kind of already done their thing at Logan too. As I've been going around fishing some of these docks for bass, I'm seeing a couple of different piers that are loaded with crappie. So I know the crappie are on some of the select piers. They're not on all of them, but there's a lot of crappie under some of the piers I'm looking at. Most of the anglers I'm seeing at Logan are targeting those 8 to 10 foot brush piles still. Probably sunken brush piles, but that's where I'm seeing most of the crappie guys dropping something into those 8 to 10 foot brush piles. Lay Lake, kind of similar story as far as where they're at with the spawn. They're kind of at the end of the spawn, but it's a lot better bite shallow for the largemouth at Lay. There's not really a lot of bad areas at Lay right now, from what I can tell. You get in those shallow grass beds, even the docks with the chatter baits, you're going to catch some largemouth if you'll just keep a bait in the water. And there's some good quality fish up there as well. So a little easier for the largemouth there. So those fish that are out moving out post spawn, they'll go back to those trees, hang out in those offshore structures, like they were pre-spawn. So that bite's going to pick up more and more, away from the bank. But right now, if you go to Lay, get up there in the shallows and target some kind of structure with a swim jig, a spinner bait, bounce a chatter bait, crankbait off of something. And the crappie, a little different than Logan. The docks on Lay are super shallow, so I'm not seeing as many, crappie under the docks. You're going to target those 8 to 12 foot brush piles offshore for the crappie on Lay right now. So that's about what I know is going on at both lakes right now, Dano.
Well, We appreciate everything, brother. Thanks for the time that you spend with us, and we'll talk to you again next week. Hey, we're joined by Gentry Gordy, going to talk a little bit of fishing down there in lower Alabama. We're talking Lake Martin and Jordan Lake. Gentry, pick your poison. Where do you want to start today?
We'll start at Martin Dano. Fishing's good, not great. There's still some betters, but I think as they start to, you still got some coming and you still got some going. The ones going seem to eat a little better to me, always have up there than when they're moving up. Believe it or not, though, we talked about it for the last 2 weeks. The shallow rock points and stuff for the bigger spots is still holding true. They're starting to chase a jerkbait a lot better. Before we were dragging a worm on them, but last time I was up there, I actually got some pretty good bites with a jerkbait. But you had to rip it hard, but then you had to pause it for a second. Which is I got a bad habit of just getting in a rhythm and jerking, constant, not letting it pause. But it seemed like the longer I let it pause, the bigger one started to eat it. The shaky head still works out there for the spots, but you can throw in a little something different with the jerkbait, underspin, stuff like that. Largemouth, that water's up. There's a few places on Martin that's got some grass I've caught some out of. Other than that, just swimming a jig around the dock, a bluegill colored swim jig around the dock, seem to get my better largemouth.
I got you. What about crappie? Are you seeing a bunch of those boats out there?
The one day I got to go, Dano, I saw a few, and I didn't get to talk to a friend of mine that does a lot, but I'll reach out to him and see if I can come up with something for next week.
All right, let's turn to Jordan. What are we seeing there?
Swim jig. That's all. That's about a swim jig, a frog. First thing in the morning, the spook on the seawall, even a spinnerbait if you got a breeze, but it's hard to put that swim jig down. That and swimming a crawdad through the grass. This time of year, the water ain't real hot, so I'll put a 1/2 ounce Texas rig on my on my swimming crawl, and I'll kind of bring it over, let it fall, pick it up, bring it over another stock, let it fall. And I've caught spots and largemouth doing that recently. Have caught some decent fish skipping a Cinco up underneath the docks. A lot of those that come off the bed, move to those docks right there. So have caught some good ones on a Cinco.
Are you seeing brim beds there? Are you seeing crappie fishermen out there? What's going on in that?
I have seen the crappie fishermen out there. I saw some up underneath the bridge. I've seen them. I'm assuming, the deeper docks, probably some trash piles out in front of them. The brim beds I've seen, I fish them whether I see the bluegill on them or not, but it's just, they'll be there soon.
Okay. Gentry, as always, brother, we appreciate it. Thanks for the time, and we will talk to you again. Well, that'll wrap up our Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, May the 3rd. Hey, folks, we're here. Got it. 6 days a week, we're here doing what we do. We got specials. We got all kinds of stuff. There's rebates to be had. You're looking for that pontoon boat, that bass boat, that fishing boat, that fun boat. Come see us over here at Bucks Island. If you're needing service to get going and keep yourself going, then you can always check with Misty and everybody there, or the parts department if you're one of those DIY type of people. And don't forget the tackle store upstairs, the loft. Go see Colin and Jamie and see what they have that might put a fish in your boat. Thanks for spending the time with us, and we will talk to you again next week.